I think one thing that was kind of a breakthrough for me, especially when I was a customer, was I do most of my work on the weekend. When I started off learning this, while working and all this kind of stuff, yeah, I try to do it during the weeknights, and I just was not consistent. It was just too hard after work to come home and look at stocks or read the paper at that point and learn stocks, right?
Hmm.
So once I, after a few years, said, okay, let me just dedicate like an hour or two on the weekend. And if you're new, I would just say do an hour or even do a half hour on the weekend, and just pull up a list of stocks, pull up them on the weekly charts, and just go through them, and really just ask yourself the question: is the stock viable or not in the next few weeks?
So,
And
what list do you look at?
so I start off with the Growth 250 now, but
Okay.
the reason why, if you're newer to this, you don't have to, like, the Growth 250 has like 300 stocks. Use the stock ideas button. That's easier, Chris.
Oh, that one up there.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
And then go to the weekly review, because that's for our weekend routine. No, up a
Where?
little bit.
There's a
There,
button
there's a little.
underneath the
Oh,
tab.
oh, I
There
see
you
it.
go.
We got to
Okay.
put Chris on the user testing. Uh, and so there are 300
That's a
I
stocks
great
there.
fail.
demo for
I
everyone.
It
fail.
is. Yeah. So there, 300 stocks. So if you're new, there's no way you're going to go through 300 stocks, right? So
But I'll tell you my shortcut. It's sort it by dollar volume
w-
and just skip anything
that's a
below
good idea.
20 million. So I'm knocking out maybe a quarter, maybe not a quarter of the list, 20%. So I would start with Academy Sports.
Yeah, and what I would, yeah, so you want to simplify in some way. A lot of times I tell people just go through the first 50,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because and look in the weekly chart. So if you why don't you just go up to the top of it again?
Mm-hmm. I'll sort it by
Yeah,
number.
the number
So,
column.
so
Yep.
these are these are the strongest.
Well, it's the way we sort it is
Mm-hmm.
by industry group ranking first,
Mm-hmm.
and then within the industry group ranking, composite rating.
Yeah, okay.
And so, and this is how Bill O'Neill always used to sort his books when he would get them, and just to see, okay, what are the stocks that are doing the best. They're not always setting up at this point, but they are doing quite well. So Tesla, right? So the first thing I'm focusing on in Tesla is I'm looking at that price action, and I'm asking that question: is this viable or not? Right now, Tesla's not viable. It's extended. So I hit the space bar and I move on. So I'm not spending a lot of time on Tesla right now at this. Now Neo here, this one is on the 10-week on. It could be viable
Mm-hmm.
over the next couple of weeks. Maybe it settles down and gives you another point. So what I do here is you can take a look at the fundamentals and stuff if you want, but a lot of times I just throw it onto a watch list, like smart alerts. Exactly,
Yeah.
that's what I throw it into. Um, then I hit the space bar on the next one. So I'm only spending like 5 seconds on each stock initially and determining is it worth spending more time or not. And so for the Growth 250, I'll take those 300 stocks and I might narrow it down to 50 to spend time on. Then I go to the smaller list, and now I'm looking on the left hand side
Mm-hmm.
and looking at the fundamentals and stuff like that. And maybe like I'll try to learn about one or two companies that week and just read some articles, and on that weekend just say, okay, why are these guys getting a lot of earnings, sales, what are they doing? And so that reading about a couple of companies a week, that will slowly build your knowledge on some of those stocks too. But that's kind of the simplified routine, but in the end, the way for my weekend routine, or just a routine in itself, you want to build it up so you're looking at enough stocks. So I'm looking at more than the Growth 250, but once you become efficient at that, you can. It doesn't take that much more time. But
Right.
by looking at a lot of stocks, you really get an idea of the strength or weakness of the market, and really the underneath the surface of it. So uh, it's just looking at a lot of charts in the end. Bill would kind of flip through the books and every weekend, and so for me, it's Saturday mornings usually. I just knock it out there, but a lot of people like to do it on Sundays. Um, so that's how I kind of do it.
And if you don't have a lot of time, you can let's say you've only got an hour or a half hour, I would go to the Growth 250,
Absolutely.
click
Yeah.
on near pivot, check those ones out. Again, I always sort everything by dollar volume and just get rid of the thinner stocks, and then go to tight areas as well.
It's a real
And
good idea.
that's a really fast way. I'll tell you my way. My main screen that I'm looking for is, and it's pretty simple, 90 composite, 90 RS, and I used to have a lot of screens, and kind of like the Growth 250 is, Mike did a lot of the work, and it's 30 screens and it's all sorts of things. And for me, it's like, that's a little too much. I just want to make sure, uh, I'm getting the big leaders. And one reason why I went back and said, okay, and luckily we have the ability to do this. I had our guy Praveen, who's our developer in the content department, to go back and run this screen on the weeks when the market was breaking out in in uh, in April, and all the big winners that you know jump out were on the screen at that time. So it was like, okay, there's only 90 stocks on it. Or I'm sorry, 98. So what I'll do is I'll take all these, highlight them. Oops. And then I'll drag them into what I call the screen bin. This is another thing that I learned from Mike over the years. So you're not, because when you run different screens, a lot of the same stocks are going to come up, and you don't want to have to look at the same stuff over and over. So I just move it into there, and then I run this one, which is really intended to get IPOs that their comp rating is not going to be so high because they typically don't have earnings. But if they're really good, then it should be above 80. And then again, also the 90 RS. So again, take these, drag them into the screen bin, you highlight everything. Another thing that I'm really focused on these days, because we talk about it all the time, sales leaders. For whatever reason, I want to see all the stocks that have at least 30% or more in sales growth. So run that, drop it into the screen bin, and then like you, Arusha, I'll just go through quickly and look at things that are setting up. And the thing that I also like to do is just have this panel open on the right side to see, as you're going through, what's the initial sponsorship look like, and if everything, if it looks like a nice base and looking powerful, and you see that, then then I'll add it to the smart alerts list, and that's really my like watch list. So, and then the one other thing that I'll do are recent IPOs. I don't want to go through all these, but I sort them by date, and I just want to go in there and see, okay, do they have the really strong sales growth? Are they profitable? What's been, and also check the volume. Do they seem to have enough volume?
Yeah, I
So,
like the screen bin thing a lot. I think that's a really good
mhm,
suggestion. Now, for and so this is for after you've been doing this for a while. I think if you're newer,
mhm,
you don't have to spend hours and hours doing this, okay? Because I remember talking to people when they got started in markets years ago, and they're like, I'm doing 6 hours a day. I was like, you're never gonna make it. You're gonna burn yourself out.
yeah, right.
It's the ones who end up getting good at this are the ones who keep it they're consistent in their routine. So keep it simple enough so you're consistent. Even 10 minutes a day, half hour on the weekend. If you just hang around long enough, you're letting time slowly let that teach you, and experience teach you, and then finally you find yourself in a market that's a great trending market like we're in right now, right, where you don't have to be that good. You just have to have money invested in the market. So that's the thing. The ones who end up really getting good at this, they just hang around long enough. And the only way I think most people can hang around long enough is You just keep it simple enough and not time consuming enough that you can just do it consistently.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching Investors Business Daily on YouTube. If you want to watch more videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.